Shall we stand? Gracious and eternal God, we come right now with thankful and grateful hearts, thanking you for your many blessings. Ask for your guidance, Lord, as we come to do business for this county. Give us the knowledge and wisdom we stand in need of to make the right decisions. Bless each board member that's present here tonight. Bless our school board members, Lord, in a special way. We pray that everything be done according to their will and their will only. In your Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order.
I'm sorry, I was waiting on you to do that. I'm sorry.
School board.
I'm sorry. I should have said
And we
it.
do have a quorum.
Yeah, we did.
All 7 are present, so we're ready to go.
All right. Got ahead of the schedule. I should have done this first. Okay, I'm sorry. Now we're down to Dr. Keeler, Superintendent of Buckingham County Public Schools.
Thank you, sir, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for an opportunity to speak on behalf of the school year. We'd like to give you a budget updates in 3 areas tonight. First one, capital projects that are either already completed or will be in the near future. We also would like to give you an update on our health insurance with a new carrier and how it works. And then finally, give you our 23-24 budget proposal for Buckingham. JB will start with a rundown of the total funded completed projects within the school division. Some $4.6 million. We'll then give you an update on work to be completed with this upcoming some projects that will need our attention in the future.
First, I'd just like to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and thank you so much for partnering with us on some past projects where we've got to install a chiller at the middle school. Very thankful for that. Also one at the high school. Very thankful for that. And the roof project, we wouldn't have been able to do that unless the combined forces of our board and your board. And we just really do appreciate that. So first on the list is the high school roof project. As you know, we've completed that. That was $1.4 million. I would like to show you, I know everybody going by the high school gets to look at it, but I just wanted to show you the before and after. And pardon, my hands are a little nervous right now, so it'll take me a little while to get this going. That is the new roof. I'm impressed by it. Not many people like to look at roofs, but I do. That's a fresh color. The snow guards are in place all the way around. We got good warranties. That's just a nice job right there. I really appreciate that. I'll show you the before picture a little bit. This is after they power washed it and we had our flat roof done. So the drone came in. It shows us the old metal. See the color there was fading bad and was just leaking. This is after they power washed it, so you can see the work being done. I'm gonna take you on down just a little bit. That's one of the old flat roofs and some work. So just really appreciate all that you've done and supported us on that roof project, so thank you. Moving on, we have a $1.5 million HVAC upgrade throughout the county. Over spring break, we're planning another phase of that, putting in some rooftop units at the CTE building. Then we'll also be taking out one of the old chillers that we have. We have 2 chillers at the middle school, and we'll have a redundant system there now, so we will be good to go. We're very blessed to have that work done. They'll also be doing some control work at all schools and hopefully switching us over very soon to a EBI system, which allows us better control, so we should be able to handle the temperatures in the building better, as well as hopefully some energy savings in there as well. We also have a $465,000 greenhouse project. That is currently, we're waiting on start documents from our architect. That has been visioned out using Mr. Kyle at the CTE and also Mrs. Davis, who handles the horticulture department there, and our facilities committee, and that's going to be a very nice project. It's getting ready to start soon. We also have a $75,000 wheelchair lift that helps us with our disabled students, helps us with getting them from one level to another. That was an old and antiquated system, so we've been able to do that. We're very blessed to be able to help our wheelchair students as well. I have a deeper PowerPoint if you'd like to see it on any one of these. If you'd like to go a little bit further, that's fine. I've got it that we can touch that and I'll bring it up. But if not, I'm going to give you the bird's eye view of everything. You can stop me or slow me down if you want to. We also have in the works PO already completed, and we're scheduling with the the roof coat at the CTE building for $250,000. That'll give us a nice 15-year warranty there. So we should have our rooftop units completed and also our roof recoated. So we should be good to go up there for quite a while. We also have our $450,000 middle school bathroom project. That is a week away, I'm hoping, from bid documents going out. So we are ready to go with that. Completion date on that's hopefully in the fall. So really nice. That's a long time coming, and I'm really excited about getting that project completed. We also have just completed today the middle school roof. The flat section has been redone, and we have a 15-year warranty on that. It's really looking good. I can show you pictures. Again, I'm the one, I love to look at roofs, but I know everybody doesn't, so I don't want to bore everybody. We also have coming up in the near future our elementary school roof recoat, and that's $118,000. We have our primary school roof recoat, and that's $200,000. And we also have some work being done over spring break. We've had some issues with our siding at the Dr. Carter G. Woodson Educational Complex, and we're working on those over spring break. All those are funded, PO'd, ready to go. We're in the scheduling phase for each one, or we are concluded with the project. How many questions on that top section for me? A lot of work we've been blessed enough to do. Part of the facilities committee, their vision is to set the vision for the county and also to look forward 10, 15 years down the road and figure out major things that are going to need to be addressed in the future. Some of those things that we visioned out are what you see here, these 4 projects. First one being the auditorium. There's a lot of history there, but it is showing signs of wear and tear. I'm going to show you just a couple pictures. As we know, that is a very historical place. A lot of folks have walked down the aisle there, walked across the stage, been handed their diploma over the years, and it is showing some signs of wear and tear. That's one of the side walls where the water is coming in actually through the old windows, the caulking, the brick. It's making its way down. Now, we have since tried to put a Band-Aid on that. It looks better than that. But it's still a lot of work needs to be done. As you can see, the water's coming down through the windows. A lot of solutions have been tried over the years unsuccessfully. So this is one of those projects that is currently unfunded but is needed. And we have it phased out in different phases, 1, 2, 3. You can look at that. It's anywhere from $2.5 to $3 million for that total project. These numbers also do not include the architectural or the A&E fees is what they call them. That's usually 10% of the overall budget. The Berryman property, again, we were blessed to get that. We had a big plan for that one, and we looked at that. The budget numbers were a little too high, so the facilities committee and Dr. Keeler gave me permission to sort of build a smaller scope of work, which we've been working on with Mr. Tommy Ranson and also some local vendors. I'm blessed enough to have that conversation and be able to pull those guys in for these. I'll just give you the vision for that real quick. It still has to go back to the architect one more time, but This is a basic scope of work. As you come into the Berryman property, if you take a right, that would be a classroom setting, potentially for alternative education. We'd have to do some renovations in there. I don't want to say extensive, but some pretty good work needs to take place in there. Yes, sir.
Those are cubbies.
Yes, sir.
Beside there.
Yes, sir. 10 cubbies fit in that space. Also 2 teacher desks. We just need to do a little something with the wall in the middle. And again, I'm working with Tommy, Mr. Ranson on that. He's very, a blessing to the county to have him. He's very smart. Anyway, 2 ADA bathrooms need to be put in there as well. That would be some additional construction. And as you go into the door to the left as you walk through was to be yet to be determined classroom space. And all of this we could get done, we think, numbers are still not quite in, but 70,000. Any questions on that one? Yes, sir. Building the scope, that includes painting. The support actually volunteered to come in and paint some. We'll give them some smocks and we'll go at it. So that includes all of that work. Again, I've got a few more numbers to come in before that one's final, but it's close. The complex parking lot, we've done extensive work on that since we purchased that. And when I say extensive work, a lot of visioning. It's been batted back and forth numerous times. What you see in front of you is pretty much the finished visioning product. 4 stages that you can, that I can show you if you'd like, but one is $748,000 for a 990 square foot, excuse me, 900, I'll get it right in a minute, 90,000 square foot asphalted parking lot that has 10 buses and 150 cars. That's all 3 tiers. Option 2, $740,000, the same 90,000 square foot, but only gravel this time, gives you 10 buses, 150 cars. Option 3, $323,000. That is 32,000 square feet. That's gravel, gives you 10 bus spaces. That helps us get the buses out of the front of the school and helps us to have better flow of traffic. Number 4, $668,000. That gives us 43,000 square feet, and it gives us a asphalt top tier 1 for 10 buses and 60 cars. Show you photos if you want of the vision if you'd like to see it. Yes, sir. It's a lot of work that needs to be done, and that is in this numbers that you see. There's a lot of work for the retention pond and the runoff plans all have to be put into place. Each one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, has that in it already. So that if we wanted to build tier 2 or tier 3 in the future, we're able to do so without extensive modification of the retention pond. Questions on that for me? Okay. And then the slate roof part, phase 1 was the metal, phase 2 was the flat. We did both those, and we came out really nice. Phase 3 would be the slate roof if we chose to do it. It's historical slate. It's been up there a long time. It's held up well. It's Buckingham slate. It is showing some signs of deterioration. Some of the snow guards have sort of rusted off, and some of the older gutters are showing signs of failure. So it is in the scope here to potentially do in the future. It's $360,000 to have that reconditioned. It's not going to be tore off. It'll just be 3 layers pulled off, reconditioned, put us a nice snow melt underneath, and then put the slate back on. That concludes this part of it. Is there any questions that you'd have for me on that? Okay. I alluded to it earlier, and I just wanted to touch base with you. Again, part of this facilities committee's job and what we do is we vision out different things, and we try to put it out there on the CPP plan as far as we can. It's really hard to scope out, 15 years that a HVAC unit's going to fail, but everything has a life expectancy. So we sort of use this time and this document here to place those things out in the future so that they're not a surprise for us. We don't walk in one day and the boiler that we knew was going to fail or was thinking it would is dead. So we try to do that. That's what this document is. I have a brief summary of each one of those just for the next 3 years. There's upcoming projects on that. I didn't know if you wanted me to touch base with that or talk about it at a later time. Concludes my part, unless you have any questions for me.
Anybody questions for JB?
Any board member have a question for him? No, thank you.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Before we move on to the health insurance, I would like to give you an alternative ed report because you guys were very good about helping me get that program started. And so I asked Mike Sutton to give me a report on how we're doing. 15 students have been placed in an alternative ed program throughout the school year with the potential of 5 more being currently added. 9 of the 15 students, 60%, were returned to the high school and have not returned back to all ed. And they have maintained proper behavior while being back in school. The remaining 40% started this semester and are doing exceptionally well. 1 student completed his GED while being with us on his first attempt and is currently applying for jobs. We had a little graduation ceremony for him this week.
That's great.
And yes, good guy. We have had 3 students this semester earn as many as 4 or 5 additional credits toward their graduation requirements. 3 out of the 15, 20%, were temporarily assigned here at All Ed for 10 days or less and have not returned. I don't think they will. We currently have 5 students that are working hard towards completing their coursework requirements and grasping important facets of life in terms of teamwork, respect, kindness, and peer support. Through the efforts of our team, Mrs. Lang, Mr. Jones, and myself, a sense of family has been established here in the alternative education program where the students can get their work done without distractions, make strides in their academic performances, and grow from their past mistakes. That's one of the best things I've heard for a long time. And I thank you all for working with me in the beginning to get it started. This is exactly what we want. Kids mess up sometimes. Give them a second chance. Right now, they're coming back. And now, to go on, I'll give you a health insurance update. Health insurance is a major benefit that we provide for our employees. Last year, we had health insurance with Anthem. This time last year, we were facing a 54.5% increase for the 22-23 school year. I've never heard one that high. That was an additional $1.5 million added on to what we're already paying. We've tried to negotiate with them to get it down, and late, they came in late. They said they would accept 34%, which was about $985,388 more on top of what we had. But Wendy and I decided that we were going to go out and seek another carrier. We did. We spoke to the benefit plan administrators, which is a Cigna network. Company called Jefferson Health Insurance Company. They're out of Ohio. They do business in Virginia and 6 other states. They were started because of teachers, especially in Ohio. We are now part of a consortium. Us, Fluvanna, Patrick County, Vista, a number of schools have gone into this. Reason is, it's a self-funded model. We use the Cigna scale. We go to the hospital, if we have somebody that goes to the hospital, we get a 60% discount. So what we do, we're paying for their discount. Insurance is through Jefferson Health. Gentlemen, the way it works, we are we're responsible for the first $125,000 of our insurance, what we pay. The next from 125 to up to 500,000, Jefferson takes care of that. We pay them to take care of it. Then anything above $500,000 to $1 million, we got the reinsurance in. So we got everything covered. We don't have people who called lasers. If you have a bad illness or something, where they, in the middle of the policy, they say, well, we're not going to cover you for 125. We're going to make you pay the first 250. They don't do that. And the good thing, the thing that really convinced us, we have a guarantee that they can't raise our daggone insurance for 1 year, but more than 20%. Honestly, when you're looking at 54.5, 20% looks pretty good. So we got our renewal. We started with them, and I guess October was the first, and we pay our premium. And if we have, if we pay our premium, we get a monthly statement. And it shows everybody who turned in a claim, shows you how much it was, everything. If we've paid in more than the claims, well then that's our money. Right now, we're running about 338,000 to the good.
Does that
Now,
come,
if
how does that come back to you? I mean,
When you get to the end, because we're going to renew in July, that money we can use, it's ours.
Right.
We can use it towards reducing our bill for the next one.
insurance for the next year?
Also, we get at least twice a year a rebate on all the prescription drugs that our people use, a 35% rebate. We're projecting that somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000. So you see, we got something that I think is good insurance, but it's bringing money back to us to help us keep away from them daggone high things. The thing too they have, and this is a part, Fluvanna's been in it for 2 years, and Fluvanna really helped us, because every time you change carriers, you always worry about, is my doctor on it? Is my specialist on it? Am I going to have trouble with the drugstore? Fluvanna paved the way for us, because we use the same doctors primarily that they do. So in doing so, they also offer, if I get a physical every year, if I don't smoke, if I walk 6,000 steps per day, and you get them a little Fitbit thing, and they would cut your deductible. If your deductible is $1,000, you could cut it down to maybe $500, and they keep track of that. And I had that at Buena Vista, and the women were just notorious for that, because every month we would give a $50 thing, who had most steps. And honest to goodness, I don't know how they did it. I don't know if they were cheating or what, but they had more steps than anybody. But you see how it works. And so now we're with it, and I like it. I like it a lot. So, and I don't think, in our renewal, 7.6%. And you have never seen a renewal under 20%. So we're proud of that, and hope that if it goes bad, I'll probably leave in town, but I'm telling you, I think it's good. And then we get into the budget. I've been doing, this is my 13th budget, and what started off was looking really good is going a little south, okay? So I'm gonna tell you where we're at. And I'll be honest with you, it could change. I know the governors, they got a meeting on Monday on the last House Bill 1400, what's called the skinny budget, because we couldn't get an agreement. Remember, they said by the 25th of February, which is on a Saturday, we're gonna have a budget between the House and the Senate. It didn't happen. It blew up on, I think, Friday, and so now we got the skinny. And in a second, we're gonna show you the differences about it, but it is a great deal of difference. First of all, when it came, the governor's budget came out on December 16th, and honestly, he had a 5% raise in it, and some decent stuff, and I thought that was a good sign. But then you remember about the middle of the month, they start talking about 7% raises. 7% raises from the House and the Senate. Well, you know, that's great, that's great news, but when half of your employees are under the SOQs, the other half we got to make up for, local or kind of grant or something, and that was I worried about that. That was a stretch. I mean, it's nice, but honestly, it's 5% is a whole lot easier for us to handle. So that's one thing that, you know, right now, we're stuck with the skinny budget, and that's from the governor. And until that changes, that's where we got. We build it on an ADM 1845. And you say, well, how you do that? Well, I just guess, okay? I'm not gonna lie and tell you I got a formula or anything like that. You guess. Last year, we built it on 1817, because we were coming out of pandemic, and I didn't know, but we had, you know, we were well above that. We've increased, we had an increase in the enrollment, about 117 kids from primary up to the high school. That's not bad, and we got to keep that going. And sometimes, I mean, when I got here, I thought enrollment stopped in September. You must have a neon sign up there on the roof of the place, because we got enrollment going on all year. Now, some people, it's coming and going sometimes, you know. Right now, we're ahead of it. Hope that continues. Give you some highlights of these budgets. The governor's budget that he put out on the 16th of December, 5% compensation supplement, SOQ funded positions, $553,325. He also put in some money for the SOQ programs, $54,777. He had his, what I call Christmas bonus thing in. It was about 1%, which was $84,770. Other programs, we had $134,276. And that was not a bad, looking back, that's not a bad budget, especially when you look at where we're going. And then the Senate, on the 15th of February, along with the House, but the Senate came out with a 7% compensation, 7% raise for SOQ funded positions. That was that's an additional for us, $822,000. The SOQ programs, where the governor had 54,000, this was $299,660. Incentive programs, now that's where I call it the Christmas bonus. It was a $231,900. That, and I didn't really have to give it at Christmas, I could give it any time. We usually had to add something to it, because we like to give it to everybody, but even if you divided this up amongst you're looking at somebody getting at least $600. And at Christmas time, that's a big deal. Other programs, support cap, $350,000. So total additional funding was $1,703,957 compared to the governor's $827,148. The House's budget, in which they usually go head to head, but the House said, okay, we're going to do the 7% compensation like the Senate, funded position, but that's about it, okay? And the total added additional funding you see down was $687,873. So on the 25th of February, when there was no budget compromise, that's when the governor stepped in and said, okay, we're going to have this budget. Called the House Bill 1400, and we're going to, I'm going to use the second year of the biennium, which the second year of the biennium says 5%. So that's what it is. And total additional funding for that is $502,846. This is what we built a budget on that we're going to share with you tonight, okay? Because that's what we've been told to do. Now, this may be changed. It could be changed because he's calling the General Assembly back on April 12th. But right now, this is what we got.
Is that 50-50? Is that all local funding, or is that state taking care of half of that, or what is that? What's the deal on that?
I would,
The 502 is the additional state.
Additional state funds only? Okay.
Chairman Chambers,
Yes, sir.
so if I may ask, so we're in the second year of the biennium,
State funds right here.
Yeah.
and and you all are basing your budget off of the skinny budget, House Bill 1400. Is there a reason why y'all didn't pick either the Senate or the House, just out of curiosity? Because I know it's tons more money would come in if they reached a conclusion to actually amending the budget.
If I was allowed to pick, I'd have picked the Senate. That's not what it is.
Yes, sir.
I'd pressed that button real early.
I'm with you. And then the second question, Mr. Chairman, would be, and I asked this earlier, the Department of Education miscalculated some of the the state basic aid for all the school divisions, and we were owed from this fiscal year and the upcoming fiscal year roughly $200,000. Is that backfilling of any of that money part of this budget?
The first year of it, this year, was about $117,000 that we were going to get. The other part of it was more like $300,000, which is 24. Right now, there's talk about. I'm hoping maybe that's something that they're going to. I hope so, because when you talk, you're right. Together, that's about $200 million when you take all the school divisions. That's the one thing, if you talk to superintendents and school boards, that's the one thing they're really upset about, because they had nothing into that. It was just God.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Any other board questions, Dr. Keeler? Question?
The House and Senate did include a hold harmless that did give us those funds back, but however, when the skinny budget came out, that was removed at this time.
Thank you.
I'm going to go over more detail of the 4 versions and how we came about our proposed expenditures and what that looks like cost-wise. This sheet is a comparison of all the 4 state budgets proposed for 2023-2024 and the school board's originally proposed expenditures and the costs associated with each. As Dr. Keeler said, we are using an ADM of 1845 in all the comparisons. Starting at the top left with the current year's governor's budget, state total revenues were $19,180,107. We have adjusted out the one-time construction grant that we received along with cafeteria grants to make this an even comparison for each version. With these adjustments, the remaining state funds current year are $17,674,566. The governor's budget for 23-24 after adjustments was $18,501,714, which is an additional funding of $827,148. The Senate's budget after adjustments was a total of $19,378,523, which is additional funding of $1,703,957. And the House, after adjustments, $18,362,439, additional funding, $87,873. And the most recent version, which Dr. Keeler spoke about, we are built this budget on, the House 1,400 substitute budget, after adjustments, $18,177,412, additional revenue, $502,846. Each version of the state budget has different funding requirements when it comes to a salary. The governor and the House 1,400 substitute budget included the 5% salary increase. The cost associated with that for Buckingham would be $931,375. The Senate and the House included a 7% salary increase. The cost for Buckingham would be $1,318,284. And the Senate included a bonus payment of 1%, which would cost of $350,939. Also enclosed in proposed expenditures is an additional special education teacher in order to reduce our caseloads, $72,000, an increase in the substitute bus driver rate from 60 to 80, cost of $25,000, hourly wage increase for our non-contracted employees from $13 to $14 an hour, a cost of $53,000. Increasing our insurance premiums with the renewal Dr. Keeler spoke of 7.64%, employer portion only would be $299,308. We propose to start back an after-school activity bus run at a projected cost of $40,000, as well as add a band chorus teacher for the high school. Currently, the teacher is being split between the middle school and the high school. That cost would be $72,000. Our custodial ground service, ABM, requested a 22% increase over their current contract, a cost of $132,000. At the bottom, you'll see a projection for each total versus each version. A question before I move to the next? At the end of the fiscal year, we are having several positions and services that will no longer be funded to the end of federal grant terms. The positions included an attendance aide, a math interventionist teacher, a special education teacher, reading specialist, English as a second language teacher, and a school counselor. Service that will no longer be funded are nursing, which is 2 staff members, and the Virtual Virginia program. The total cost of the federal funded positions that are ending was $629,000. And the bottom is just the total of each version. Based on the last 2 slides, proposed for expenditures, we made the following internal adjustments. For the originally proposed expenditures, we will be moving the special education teacher and the bands teacher to our ESSER 3 grant. And we will be reducing the cost of the insurance premiums from the originally $299 to $104,376 by increasing the employees' portion of the premiums. Federally funded positions and services are also being moved to ESSER 3 with our elimination of the reading specialist position and ending the services we had with Virtual Virginia.
So these are cut, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, go
So
ahead.
these are some cuts y'all have made in the budget using that one-time federal money, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So you're making these cuts, not, the state's not making them, right? Okay.
A summary of our final expenditure revenues using the most current version of the state budget, the House 1400 substitute, increased our state revenues by $502,846. We originally had $2,253,683 in additional expenditures. $1,624,683 were non-federal expenditures, and $629 were from federal grants that were ending. We then made internal adjustments, starting internal adjustments of $877,376 by moving $606,000 to grants, increasing the employee portion of health insurance at $104,376, removing positions of $107,000, and ending services of $60,000. We have also eliminated $250,000 in expenditures by removing the bus driver rate increase, the hourly wage increase, the activity bus run, and the custodial grounds contract. This gives us a revenue shortfall of $623,461, which we are requesting from the Board of Supervisors to fully fund the 5% salary increase and the employer portion of the health insurance. You have in front of you a line detail budget of our revenues and expenditures, if you have any questions on any of those.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Aller, just so I'm clear, the 623,461 would be coming as local money with the 5% proposed salary increase and the 7 point whatever it was employer insurance premiums after the roughly $900,000 cut in y'all's internal adjustments and the eliminated expenditures of those positions. Is that right? Now, if the Senate or the House, if they're able to get their acts together and come up with something that is greater, obviously, you all would come back in and we could amend the budget. Are there school buses
Yes.
in this budget?
The current budget includes the current appropriation from the county. That does.
3?
I think we get 3 a year, don't we? That's right.
Okay, so that is in here.
The 623 is above the current allotment that you all give us.
And then obviously the 40,000 for the after-school, that's just personnel, I would assume. Or the activity bus, I mean.
It's the cost of running the buses, the fuel,
Right,
and
and okay.
personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the buses, I think the price of the buses went up a little bit due to putting the air conditioner, getting the air conditioner on them, that's correct? Which make a lot of good sense to me. If you're buying one, you should, start off and get it with the air conditioner, try to put one on later on, so I can understand that.
Mr. Chair, we last year,
Board member had any more questions?
How many average miles, Ronnie, does a bus last for?
Generally speaking, somewhere between
All of them diesel?
we travel probably close to 750, 800,000 miles a year.
So a bus lasts how long? Bus lasts 15 years, okay.
Buses back before the state started, when we had that big budget cut for the school. Rotation. When a bus was used for 10 years, the ones that were 10 years old came on. But then when all the counties and the state had this cutback, they wanted to try to get 15 years.
Make it last longer.
Got a 15-year school bus on the road that's well.
Okay. And I reckon the prices of buses like cars, right, ain't going up.
Yeah, and another thing too is every few years they change the emissions on the school bus. Like a vehicle, when you change emissions on it, all that's gonna do is jack the price up more. And I'm thinking the buses this year, before this change in July, will be somewhere around close to probably 110,000 with air conditioning on it.
Gosh.
For the 3 buses that we provide, it's about $330,000-$40,000.
No, that's, like I say, that's, I know $90,000 each, but thank God you have, we really appreciate that too. Because we went like 3 years with no buses.
I remember that.
Y'all start back getting us 1, 2, we have gotten up to 3 thanks to y'all. And, it's really helped us. And we got to a point now where the summer's being hot, now we're trying to upgrade for the children of the county, is trying to start getting air conditions on the bus. That is our next step, trying to make it better for us.
I know.
$100,000 a
I'm
bus.
sorry.
110
110.
for one with air conditioner.
You said $10,000 more, they're already doing 90.
Yeah, I think the buses we purchased last year were like 106.
Oh, okay.
We paid the difference. We paid that difference. Y'all gave us the $90,000 per bus.
Right.
We paid the difference because we got them with air and everything on, that's right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and how's the rotation going now with us giving you 3, or the board incorporating into its operating budget 3 a year?
3 a year puts you right on like the 15-year rotation. Right at. Things were good back 11 years ago before everything.
Right.
10 years, surplus in a bus after 10, but it's now stretching out to like 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
How did you do on your fuel last year? I know sometimes fuel up, sometimes it's down. Yeah, it's hard to predict, how it could be.
We went to bid the fuel back in June.
Uh-huh.
Diesel fuel was $5 a gallon at the pumps right here.
Right.
So there was no way that I could see for us to bid that fuel for the year. And you wouldn't believe it, we bid it all year. We have been bidding fuel per load as needed.
Right.
And I think the last load we got was like $2.62 a gallon for diesel. So it was way up. We did not bid it for the year.
Right.
So we have bid it, and it's kind of done leveled out right now.
Right, okay.
But it's very tricky.
I know
When
it.
you bid that fuel for a year,
Right.
you stuck with that price.
That's right.
You can't bid it when it's $5 a gallon. We would have really been under the gun if we'd have kept that $5. So we double bid it, we bid it per load.
Per load.
We didn't even do it by the year.
Okay. I was just wondering, 'cause I know the fuel like a yo-yo up and down. Uh-huh. Any more questions for the school board? We're looking at about a $600-some-thousand increase.
What was it, Dr. Keeler? You said you're gonna have your estimate from the state hopefully in April, is that right? Your new budget estimates in April, is that what you think they're gonna give you?
They told us June for,
June.
early June for the final budget.
They're supposed to reconvene April 12th, but we don't know when they'll decide, so.
Have you done an estimation on your end-of-year budget, or it's end-of-year money that you're gonna have coming in?
We do, however, the state budget will really affect that, so we don't have a figure because we don't know what the state budget's gonna do.
What is that figure, do you know?
We have some vacancies, several vacancies, so those would be our end of year. Current year vacancies.
Any more questions for the board, the school board members? Right, thank you.
Thank you all for the opportunity to come before you. And we would like to go into closed session right now, if you all don't mind. So, can someone take us into closed session?
Madam Chairman, I recommend going into closed session as allowed under item A1 of section 212-3711 of the Code of Virginia for discussion and appointment of specific employees.
A motion's been made by Mrs. Newton and second by Mrs. Morris to go into closed session under item A1 of section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. We are in closed session. Thank you very much.
Go next door here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you guys tonight, you should have a packet, looks like a little cheat book, looks like this.
Yes, sir.
Previous county administrator, Ms. Carter, said it was a good thing to give you guys. You want to go through this whole big binder, so we're sticking with that tradition, and hopefully that'll help you guys out a lot tonight when we go through this budget. I don't know if you guys want me to go through everything page by page or hit some highlights. I don't know how you want to do that.
I don't see it going through everything page by page. Everybody had it. I just hit the highlights, and
I agree, Mr. Chairman.
I think
We
we
touch on some of the stuff we
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about.
Yes, sir.
Highlights.
I mean, I go through the highlights, and whatever page you guys get to on the highlight, you can feel free to stop me.
Okay.
Go ahead, gentlemen.
All right, so I'll give you from the highlights what I presented to you guys tonight. Unfortunately, in this budget tonight, or proposed budget, I've got a 3-cent tax increase on the real estate. And once again, this is my recommendation to you guys. You guys do not have to stick with that, but I have to give you guys a balanced budget. So you guys can decide how you want to take the balance out of, the budget out of balance to compensate for that. So we would go from 52 cents on real estate to 55, and the same thing with Public Service Corporation and aircraft tax. The budget you have before United is for $70,651,653. This will change when we get to schools' numbers. We got those tonight, and their request was for additional $623,000 in local funds. This budget tonight represents an increase in last year's budget, about a $1.3 million increase, and this is coming from your reserves. So those reserve amounts for $500,000 additional for Gene Dixon Park, and another $200,000 for the animal control facility. The proposed budget also includes a 7% pay increase for employees. As the school mentioned, the state is talking about doing an additional 5 or 7% for employees. I decided to ask for 7 tonight in case the state decided to give 7. If the state decides to give 5, we'll be good. We will just give the 5. But I thought I'd ask for the 7. That way we won't have to come back to you guys for more money if the state does 7. So we will do what the state does. If the state does 5, we won't give our employees 7. So like the school said, once we get their final numbers, we'll know what the percent of increase will be. Also in this budget tonight, there's an increase in health insurance of 9%. So that's kind of standard for us. We didn't get double digits, so we're thankful for that. You have the 7% salary increases, which once again, it'll be 5 if the state decides to go with 5. Also in this budget tonight, I removed the vehicle purchases once again. You may want to use ARPA funds for that again. I think Mr. Hickman told me we still have about $800,000 left in ARPA funds. So one of the things we want to start doing, though, eventually is start building up for vehicle purchases. So, you know, the county vehicles are around $30,000, but we need to start, you know, looking at buying EMS vehicles and solid waste trucks. Those are your big ticket items when it comes to vehicles. So right now, and I didn't know at the time what the school wanted, so I don't have those in this budget for right now. But if you guys want to put them back in there or go with the ARPA money, we can talk with the Finance Committee about that. As of right now, your unassigned fund balance is $192,937. That's what you have after, if everything was spent in the budget. If we spent all of our revenues, all of our reserves, we would be left with that amount of money. So for a $70 million budget, that's not that much, but it's still something that you have to play with. And unfortunately, based on the school's request, if you grant that request, that would eat up that whole $192,000, and you would still be stuck with about a $400,000 deficit. This budget also includes tonight 2 more dispatch positions. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee to fund them 6 positions. We did 2 last year. This budget includes 2 more this year. It also includes extra funding for the library. As you remember, Mr. Ewan came to you last year and needed an increase to get his minimum wages up, and we told him we would do that this year and not do it all last year. So that's I think like a $10,000 increase for Mr. Ewan for the library. On the good news, the debt service decreased to $170,000, so that helped us with some savings and then some extra spending money. Also, you all know that the Dominion grant that we gave for that was given to us for EMS, that is all gone now. So that's the reason why the tax increase is being presented to you guys tonight. We were lucky that that grant lasted for 2 years, and I think the way Mr. Gillum said is the best way. We're never going to be paying our own bills. There's no other funding to fund EMS other than local tax dollars. You have some new requests that came to you last week. One was Warriors First for $5,000 and Flip Inc. for $40,000. as we get to the department and agencies, you can talk about that later on. And I've already gone over the new dispatch positions. The next page, page 4 at the bottom, you'll see when we get to revenues, I have real estate revenues is $9,050,000. This is an increase of $450,000, and that increase comes from our real estate rate if we go with a tax increase. I proposed 3 cents. For every penny you guys increase the real estate, you get $150,000, so that's why that's at $450,000. So for each penny, we get $150. And I put a chart there to show a comparison. You'll see if you had $100,000 in value, currently that person is paying $520 in taxes. If we went to 55 and increased 3%, they'd be paying $550. So there's only a $30 difference in the taxes. If the person had $400,000 in values at the current rate of 52 cents, they'd be paying $2,080. If we went to 55, they'd be paying $2,200, which is a $120 increase. So those percentages don't affect the taxpayers as much as you think they would, but when you total all the citizens in the county, it really affects the county's budget a lot. So when you look at 16,000 people, that those $100 and $90 add up to a lot of money, additional revenue for the county. Public service is another thing that goes with the real estate rate. So I have in there $3,583,000. That's an increase of $133,000. So those are your agencies that don't pay real estate taxes, so they pay public service. So for that's based on the real estate rate though. So whatever we get in that, there's an extra $61,000 as well when we raise the real estate rate. Personal property, I have that as an increase of $350,000 at $3,700,000. As you all heard this current year, we tried to reduce the value column in the tax book to lower the amount of increase the taxpayers had to pay because of the increase in values of vehicles. Eventually, at some point, we're going to want to take that column back to the middle because right now, all the vehicles in the county are being valued at just above the poor value in that column. So we know that people got vehicles that are not poor in the county, but at some point, you're going to want to take that back up. Look at some other. Oh. You guys done?
Yeah, they're coming,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, go ahead and I'll pause right here,
we'll
Mr.
pause.
Chairman. I think you guys need to adjourn, right?
We'll come back in session, so. Out of structure. Your chairs are much more comfortable than ours, though. I'll say that.
Thank you.
You can take it on home if you want.
Thank you, sir.
God, just to Jordan Miles, he'll pay for it.
I'd be happy to buy that chair.
I'll just be Jordan pay for it. Shut up.
Okay, we need to return from closed session.
Madam Chair, I certify that to the best of our knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion to go into executive session were heard, discussed, or considered in executive session.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Morris and second by Mrs. Newton to return from closed session. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. We are back in session, and now we would like to take certificate of action that was taken in closed session.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the personnel agenda as presented.
A motion was made by Mrs. Morris and second by Mrs. Newton to approve the personnel agenda as presented. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries. And now we would like to adjourn, and thank you all for having us today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming. Have a good evening. Y'all welcome to stay if you want to.
Okay.
Well, make yourself at home and relax.
I gotta figure out how to fit this chair in my car.
Put the key in the car, Jordan. We'll put the chair in the car.
tripping on me. Yeah, we did it. Y'all ain't gonna be able to mess with Morgan like this.
Y'all have a good evening.
We need to. We need to. We need to do it. We need to do something.
You know what happened now, don't you?
I'll pick back up. So, on page 5 of 14,
Wait a minute.
you'll see page 5 of 14, local sales tax. I have that as $1,091,000. That's an increase of $157,000. And that's based on our sales tax history. And also, with the hotels and solar farms starting up, hopefully we'll see some of that increased sales tax come to the county. Scrolling down, still on page 5. It references page 18 toward the bottom, revenue from use of money. I have that as $120,000, and that increase is a big increase of $110,000. If you look at that binder book, you'll see for the past 2 years, we were getting, as interest rates plummeted, we weren't getting any earnings on our money at all. So this is a good thing that the, rates are going up and we're starting to earn money on that. So we're going from a big increase to $110,000 to $120,000. So hopefully we can keep that going. As some of you might remember, that was a common thing back in the past. We used to get over 100,000 on earnings all the time. And then when COVID hit and the economy dropped, we dropped as well. So hopefully that'll keep going. Revenue from use of property, page 19 in the revenue book is $85,000. That's an increase of $5,200. Our social service and health department rent, those are fixed, so those are about $79,000. I put in an additional $5,200 as for the community center. So far, people are starting to use that facility like we want. I think if you look in your budget book, through the first 6 months of this year, we were already at $12,000. So it's a good thing that people in the community are using that, and it's helping us out as well. Let's see. Another entry. If you get to page 6 of 14, you'll get to where it references page 5, page 25, I'm sorry, page 25 through page 30 in that book. Those are your constitutional officers. So as the school said, once again, we don't have a finalized state budget as well. We got those reimbursements from the compensation board website. So currently in their estimates, there's an increase of 5% for those 5% pay increases. And as you all know, when the comp board gives their people 5% increase, they're just doing it for the comp board funded position. So you can have a deputy working side by side. One is a state funded position, one is not. So that one is not state funded, does not get the pay increase. And so it's been the board's history to give everybody that same pay increase. So and I think the schools have that issue, they're only paying for certain positions, they got to come up with the difference. So we're in that same boat as well. So the sheriff's offices, you have them as $1 million. There's an increase of $77,000. And once again, that's straight off the comp board website. Hopefully, when the state finalizes their budget, we'll get some more revenue from that. Commissioner revenue, $97,159. Once again, that'll be adjusted when the state budget's finalized. Same with treasurer, registrar, clerk of circuit court. Other categorical aid, I have an increase of $56,695. That increase is from state grants. Now we have another full-time E911 director again. I put in here, I'm gonna lean on him to give us more and more grant opportunities because there are a lot of grants for E911. We gotta make sure we take advantage of when they're available. So we wanna make sure we get all the grant money we can to help with those expenses. Federal funds, the references on page 32, there's a small increase of that of $3,883. And the reason I bring that up is, as you approved at our last meeting, we're starting to get money now from that opioid settlement. So that's a good thing as well. We're getting some federal money from that. It's not a big thing, but every little drop helps. So we have a schedule to get, I think, $7,000 this current year, but as we just signed a new agreement last meeting, we're hoping to get a little bit more than that. Our sale of property, unfortunately, that went away this upcoming budget, as the Gold Hill School has been paid off totally, and of course, the Atlantic investment project is done. Transfer to general fund, that is a $200,000, that's no change, and I'll just point that out because that's what we charge the water system and sewer system for our preparation of bills and keeping up with the system up here, so they kind of pay us for those services. Department of Social Services, I won't get too much in that because their budget is based on their calculations. They had asked for a $11,000 increase. That's for their pay increases. So for the number of employees they have over there, that's a pretty low number that they can deal with all those pay increases with only $11,000. I'll just go right to the page 7 of 14, page 42. This is your one you can put the star beside. Emergency services. We have that budget is $1,839,752. This is a decrease of $101,000. The reason why we had that Dominion money for the last 2 years, so we had more revenue than expenses, so we had a reserve of contingency. Now that we're paying for that directly out of county funds, that reserve contingency is no longer available. We're going to aggressively try to get $1 million in cost recovery, and we have a state grant that we get for each year for what's it called? For life funds that we get that goes toward that budget as well. But you can see that's where we're getting that tax increase from. That budget is $1.8 million. We're only getting a $1 million in cost recovery, and you can see that's the $800,000 difference. Unfortunately, that's something we knew was coming. We took over for EMS because we knew that budget wouldn't be self-supporting. It's just a shame it's coming this time, but we knew it was coming. I think everybody will agree that the service that Cody's providing is a lot better than what the volunteers were. I mean, we appreciate the volunteers doing, but I think we're another level than we were before. So I think the taxpayers and citizens are benefiting from that service, but there's just a cost to it. That $800,000 difference that we have to make up, I've opposed the 3% tax increase, but we're doing good in other areas, so my 3 cents is only $450,000, so it still is not covering up that whole $800,000. So because we've done good in our past, we're doing good now, we don't necessarily need the whole $800,000 right now. But if you do a tax increase, you always want to do a tax increase to adjust for future growth. So you want to keep going back to the taxpayer and saying, you know, nickel and dime and saying, we increased your taxes last year, but we need more this year. So, and as you all know, nothing's getting cheaper. Our last reassessment was 2019. It went into effect in 2020. So we don't have another reassessment scheduled to 2026. So that's 3 years away. So I don't think you're going to make it just using your reserves until that time. Another thing we might want to look at for is reassessment. Other localities are doing this for the same reason we're looking at doing it now. We might want to go to a 4-year assessment instead of 6 years, because it's going 6 years without any new money coming in is a long time. So you might want to shorten that time and do it 4 years. And historically, that's when we've done our tax increases at reassessment time. So I'll leave it up to you guys. You want me to look into doing that and doing it 4 years, but I can tell you now some of the surrounding counties are doing exactly that because of this reason.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Carter, if I may, so what you're saying is that if we have to, we could get by with the 3-penny real estate tax increase and fund emergency services, and then in the next fiscal year, do another 3, and that would get us through those 2 years with EMS.
Yes, sir. Because as you can see, I based my budget on a 3-cent increase. I didn't base it on 6 or anything.
Yes, sir.
We still came with $192,000 to the good. So,
Okay.
But that was before tonight, before the school's request.
Exactly.
So,
I got a question too, Mr.
yes,
Chairman.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, how, we haven't got the numbers lately, but as far as the revenue recovery, as far as the paid squad, what are them numbers looking like?
Mr. Hickman can probably give you that.
If you give me a minute or two, I'll.
While he
check
getting
that.
that call,
Yes, sir.
what, we dropped the tax back, what year, when they were?
2020.
It was the last reassessment, 2020. Yes,
2020, we dropped it back to 50.
Yeah, we took it down 3 cents.
Yeah, we should have left it.
It was at 55.
It was at
Yeah.
55, yeah, we cut it back, 52. That fellow.
But, I mean, when we did that, I mean, We put money in for growth, because we knew
Right,
6 years is a
right.
long time to go without a tax,
Right.
without new money coming in.
Okay. Shouldn't be no problem putting it back now. We should put it,
It's funny how those same numbers keep coming back around.
okay.
Mr. Davis, to answer your question, year-to-date, we have 625,000. That's actually behind a few months because as the insurance claims come through, they're usually about a month or two behind. So really for May, we could say it's 625 as of January.
So like our real estate, other taxes, we keep our books open for 60 days. So when we get to August, we'll put that money back into last fiscal year. So basically it runs to August when we start for those collections. So that's what Kevin means by it's behind. We're really in this month, but we're kind of 2 months behind.
Okay.
Right, and that $1 million number, 800,000, that was kind of what we talked about a couple years ago. So it hasn't changed much when we estimated when Ms. Carter was here. We had estimated those costs and it's kind of stayed consistent.
All right.
All right, page 43 through 51, that's the school system, and I have those numbers in there, but they don't mean anything to you right now. The local amount, as you can see, is $7,598,000. Their request tonight was an additional $623,000. So if you granted their request, that would put you up to about 8 point.
That's the question. We can, I'm not saying fund it right now. We can kind of put them in reserve just in case they need it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Say that again, Joe?
I said we can put them in reserve in case they need it, because I know they haven't got the state budget, you know.
Right, yeah. So, yes, you can use your reserves to cover that until they come back to their final number.
Okay.
I'm hoping that number they gave was the worst case scenario, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
there'll be some kind of increases from the
Okay,
state budget.
right.
School cafeteria goes along with the school system. Our debt service fund had a decrease of 169,000. So that helped with the tax increase, or lack of going to the whole 6 cent Jordan. We get some revenue from that, believe it or not. We get 44,000 from the state. We also, with the middle school, we get this money called Qualified School Construction Bond. So they actually pay our interest back on that loan. So when we got that loan set up, we did a great job with that. So we paid the principal, we paid the interest, and they sent us a check back for the interest. So that's about $430,000. Sewer system, there's a small increase of $8,749. And I'll just point to the water and sewer systems. Those don't affect the taxpayer. Those are all from our enterprise fund. So those budgets are paid for their customers, or utility customers, so they are self-supporting. IDA fund, those have funds coming in of $181,000. That's a decrease of $12,751, and that was because as the Gold Hill School was purchased from us, we were rebating their taxes. Since that paid off now, we don't have that anymore, so the only thing left in that fund for revenues is $181,000, which is the new sewer plant.
All right.
All right, so that's it for the revenues. If you guys got any questions about those, I think you're probably more concerned with the expense side, so.
I got any questions? Okay, Carter, you can go ahead.
All right, and like I said, I get to a page and I go past it, please stop me if you guys have individual questions you want to talk about. As you go through most of these departments, I don't want to hit every one of them, but you're going to see that 9% increase in health insurance is the main thing. We had a couple of departments where people changed health insurance plans, like I'll go to finance data process, and I'll pick on Kevin's here. They had an employee that went to a higher insurance plan. Also, if you remember, we removed our accounts payable person from part-time to full-time. So when we did that, that reduced the part-time money, but that also increased the salary, and it came along with benefits. You got your electoral board in there, $124,068. The request we got was basically level funding, is only increase of $43. Only $2,600 is state money, so they only pay, the state only pays up to a certain percent of their registrar salary and the electoral board salary. And on top of that, they only pay like 70% of it. So, and it depends, and according to Ms. Taylor, it depends on the budget that's adopted. So we pay it all, and she has to submit a reimbursement request from the state to get reimbursed. So it's not like that money comes to us at first. She has to do a request for it.
The way things are going, they're not gonna have anybody over there to reimburse anybody.
They're all gone.
Pay them nothing.
So right behind that is the registrar, and her total budget was $190,000. $128,000 out of his local money, and $61,925 is the state portion. So once again, they pay toward her salary. Circuit court, small amount. Clerk of the court, there's a decrease of $11,000. On this case, they had an employee left the health insurance plan, so we benefited from that. So we got lucky with that one. When most people, is always an increase. Commonwealth attorney, increase of $15,000. There's again an employee participating in our health insurance that wasn't last year. That is $80,000 of their budget is local, $353,000 is from the state. Sheriff's office, $2,751,184. This is an increase of $114,359. This request includes those 2 new dispatch positions as recommended, that we do try to get those up to date. We funded, as I said before, we funded 2 last year, and we funded 2 in this current budget. So that's something you guys want to look at adjusting, and we can do that as well.
These new positions?
Yes, they are. Remember, we came to the finance committee and wanted 6, maybe 8, but we've done 2 each year.
Oh, okay.
Volunteer fire departments, they all were level funded, so no increases there. Regional jail, there's an increase of $40,000. That's one of those things we got to pay for our per diem, how many inmates are in there. So there's kind of no way to estimate that amount of money. As that amount goes up, I can tell you that our juvenile detention facility, a couple pages down, that's been going down. There's not many kids in the facility, so they're scrambling to try to get more money to help fund that facility. Animal control, increase of $26,615. This is one of those ones we hate doing, but it's one I think we need to do it. If you look at their budget, you'll see there's a big increase in veterinarian services. To euthanize animals, either you have to pay somebody, which we're doing, to pay the vet to do it, or we have to train our officers to administer that drug. So once you do that, then you're treated like a medical facility. You have to keep those drugs under so many locks and keys. They have to be trained. So, and then on top of that, you're opening up their audit. When they come to get audited, they're going to be auditing those drugs that they keep. So it might be the cost of paying to get out of that, because, I mean, if they come in and audit us and we're doing something wrong with those drugs, we could be in big trouble.
A bullet a whole lot cheaper. Oh, yeah, okay. Buzzes in.
All right. General properties, increase of 13,000. Health department, small, 3,800. All right, contributions to colleges and agencies, Hess probably want to talk about. Crossroads, on page 11 or 14, I'm sorry.
14.
About midway through the page, we talk about the other agencies.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before we go on the next page, could I ask one question
Yes,
about,
sir.
on page 10 of 14, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir.
With sheriff and law enforcement, that does include, I assume, the 7%?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What? No, I'm sorry, it does not. We got that later on in the budget in our fixed costs.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
not
you.
in their budget right now, but if you approve it, we'll move it from that fixed cost line to their budget.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So I guess I have it in there, but not in that budget.
Thank you.
All right.
At Piedmont Senior Resources, agent 18,000. Where you work at, Jordan? Cut it all out. Don't give them nothing this year. Can you operate over there like you got a decrease of 353? Can you make it with it? Can you stand in more cut?
I don't know if I can comment, Mr. Chairman. It's my employer.
You work for 2 days a week
Your
now.
employer.
All right, actually, one, Mr. Gilliam. Mr. Carter, I do need a motion, though, that, I'm
you have a statement
glad
you
you
can
brought
read.
that up, because I have a statement I've got to read. And can we get that maybe later?
Yes.
Okay.
That's before you vote on the budget, though, to advertise it, right? Yeah, we can let you change that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Got that statement? Oh, you probably look it up from last year's meeting, because
Yeah.
we searched the minutes, we'll find it.
Thank you.
All right, whichever ones you want to talk about, but Crossroads had a decrease of 7,500. Piedmont Senior Resources had a decrease of 353. Triad, Cadre, level funding. Peter Francisco Water and Soil, increase 120. Virginia's Retreat, level funding. Ellis Acres, level funding. Active Seniors, level funding. Habitat for Humanity's, level funding. Christian Outreach, level funding. Foothills Advocacy Center, increase of 1,000. Piedmont Veterans Council,
What's called, that's something I'd like to see.
that's the one I think, Mr. Chairman, you wanted to talk about.
Want to make an increase, because, they do a lot to help the people in Buckingham County. They, not only the veterans, but the widows also are the veterans. You know, me and Donnie Bright talked about it last year. I got confused. I thought we appropriated $10,000.
Yeah, we looked at the minutes,
We
and what we
didn't.
did, we took money from
Haddon Ferry.
Haddon Ferry, and we moved it to the Boys and Girls Club.
But yeah, the Piedmont veterans didn't get anything. I thought they did, but they didn't. So I'd like to see the board, go to $10,000. Yes, sir.
I
Make a motion that we increase that to $10,000.
We
Wait
want to
till
wait to end of it? Want to wait to end of it to do it?
Then, and we'll
Thank
go
you.
through all the increases.
All right, Ms. Carter, that's all I have.
Okay. Southside Community College has a decrease of $128, and as we get to Piedmont as well, their increases or numbers are based on the number of students we have from Buckingham that are enrolled there. After prom, there's an increase of $1,000 to $4,000. Boys and Girls Club, as we just talked about, they went from $10,000 to $12,000. And Jaunt was a big increase this year. It's the guy came to the last board meeting and talked to you guys about they've had some excess money to help lower those costs, but next year they're gonna be facing or asking the county to put in a large amount of money. Kevin's on that board, he may be able to tell you more than I can, but at some point, I think, as you all remember, years ago, they used to pay fares. It was like a small amount, but you paid
Right.
something to ride the bus.
That's right.
COVID came and they got a lot of money like we did, and they went fare-free. They're still doing that. So I think at some point, you're gonna have to say, for people, or your riders need to pay some at least to help cut down on the cost that we have to contribute.
That's only fair. Ride free.
That's a tremendous increase.
Right, yeah.
How much usage are they, just say, do you know what the average daily usage of that bus is over there, from here over there? How many people are riding it? Just
I know
Hey,
he
both of
said
them
right
full.
now his buses, are full.
Oh, it's two buses
It's
here.
full.
It's 2 buses and both routes
Yeah. I don't think
are full.
Okay.
one time they were paying about $5 a day.
I think so. I think it
Ride
was,
the bus.
it was a small amount, but they were
Yeah.
paying something.
And they're fussing about that.
So that's one of the ones you want to,
One
may
gallon
want
of
to
gas, $5.
you may want to look at.
Right, okay, we need to take a look at that, yeah.
Blackstone area bus, level funding, steps level funding. Virginia legal aid, a small increase of $314. Longwood Small Business and Longwood Center for Visual Arts, level funding. Southside Center for Violence Prevention, as you all know, they closed their doors, so we don't have anything to give them this time. As you guys voted for maybe a month ago, Steps has stepped in to fill that void for that service, and we paid that money that we had budgeted this year for Madeline's house to Steps. Pregnancy Support Center, level funding at $3,000. And then the last two are your two new requests. So I guess we need to talk about those. Warriors First was the first one. They came and talked to you at our last meeting. They're requesting $5,000. I think based on what we saw from them, they're early on in the game. I think they probably gonna have to have some more planning, because I just only fear is that you guys give them that money and then they decide they can't make it and you've lost that money.
I
Mr.
think we
Chairman,
need to wait on both of that, both of those requests from lawyers and, the other one.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. I think we ought to omit the 25 and 26 out of our budget.
Why don't you put them in contact with the veterans folks here?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, they don't want no parts of them.
Okay.
And they put up on the screen the other night that they was being supported by the Piedmont veteran, and I asked the lady, and she said no. Her name is Sarah Maddox.
So we can leave those out, Mr. Chairman?
Sir, I think at this time, I think we should leave it at.
I agree.
We need more information, I can't come up here and tell you I'm gonna start a business and never started. What money,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's,
If we want to make a change, you want to wait till the end to make?
Yes, sir. You want to give them to me now, Don?
Well,
I'm just making a note so we can give you a final number at the end.
I think we need to take Jaunt back to the what we were originally paying those people.
What they were paying us, you mean?
Well, they were paying us.
I told the ones riding the bus you talking about.
Right, that's
Yeah, that's
right.
what I'm talking, I agree.
We need to go back to what our original funding, amount was. I can't, you
All right,
you probably
I'm
got that down somewhere.
Try to pull it up now.
I will say the stance they're at right now is they do not want to do fares because that is the only thing separating them from Charlottesville area transit. Of course, I'm not speaking on behalf of their board, I'm just a member. But that is the repeated stance that has been brought up in meetings, is that that's the only thing that separates them from Charlottesville area transit, and they would like to keep it with no fares. Other localities are in the same position as Buckingham, where it's massive increases. Really, Jaunt has done a good job with Buckingham of lowering the initial
Right,
increase.
that's what you're
It
saying.
was 120,000, and they were able to bring it down to 60,000 for this year.
I see what you're saying, but, you know, a person riding to Charlottesville for $5, man, how can they complain about that?
They can't.
You see what I'm saying? I think we need to take a look at it. I'm not, you know, I appreciate the information, but
$35 a week.
$35 a week to ride to Charlottesville. Well, 25, 5 days. 5 times 5 is 25.
Let's give it to them.
Sure it is. They don't want to pay $5.
So, Mr. Matthews, that we're currently funding them $40,497.
All right. Sounds good.
That's the consensus of the board, you take it, okay.
That's good with the board? I think you'll
I'm
pay
good with
something.
that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think we ought to leave the 16, the Boys and Girls Club, at $10,000 and not give them the $2,000 increase.
Why did they, Mr. Chairman, why did they want the two, Mr. Carter? That extra two? Or Mr. Hickman?
They're having to buy a bus.
A bus or something on it.
That was the question I had for the school
I
division too.
was-
We had used to, the school division furnished transportation for the Boys and Girls Club after-school program, and somehow it got eliminated from your budget. But it's helping your students. It's an after-school program, and I'm just curious, is there any way you could work with those people about maybe?
The lady that gave us that presentation said she had an ultimate desire. I think she said that she had 12, could accommodate 12, but it was even more than 12 wanted to go. So if there's any way we could make that possible to help the kids of the county, that'd be a great idea.
No, I emailed Jordan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no problem, yeah. Oh, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Right. But at your auction, at the end of your auction, you usually have a surplus auction, or do you just want to go buy, sell it straight out? Is that what you want to do?
Is there any way you could look into just seeing if you could buy the bus outright, because they're not allowing you anything for it to start with? They just raising the asking price and acting like you're giving you a lot for it, like any car deal would do. Is there any way you could see if you could buy the bus straight out and without having to trade it? And then without having Sonny Merriman or whoever it is get the profit off the boys club? Is it any way we could look into that possibly? I understand.
Are you gonna have an auction this year? Did you say that? You're not?
Wasn't, I'm sorry, wasn't it something when y'all were having issues with a driver for the bus, wasn't it? Getting the driver right.
How long you had to stay over there? I know it's after-school program. 5 o'clock before they come back?
I don't know,
Oh.
I'm just saying, probably 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a statement I need to read. I'm a little bit tardy on this, if I may.
Wait, Curry, what'd you say?
I said I'm a little bit tardy. I'm late.
Oh, okay.
I'm late.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm advising I have sought an opinion from the Commonwealth's attorney covering any conflict I may have in participating in discussions and voting on the county's budget because I am an employee of Piedmont Senior Resources. I've received a written opinion from Mr. E.M. Wright Jr. that I can participate in the discussions and vote on budget matters. The Code of Virginia requires I make a statement concerning my situation. Accordingly, I make the following statement for the record. 1, I will participate in discussions and vote on matters relating to the adoption as well as relating to the adoption as well as the adoption of the 2023-2024 Board of Supervisors operating budget for the county. I'm an employee of Piedmont Senior Resources, which is funded in part by allocations from the Buckingham County Board of Supervisors. I am a member of a group of employees of Piedmont Senior Resources, that group being more than 3, which are affected by the transaction, and I'm able to participate in the transaction fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. I do not set the budget nor authorize the expenditures of Piedmont Senior Resources. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
To go back to the question on the Boys and Girls Club, their additional $2,000 is reflecting of the growing cost across staffing, transportation, and other program expenses. The support of $12,000 for 20 Buckingham youth, which is the number that they gave us that they're serving right now, brings the cost down from $2,000 to $600 per Buckingham child. So that was the reasoning of their $12,000.
2,000.
2,000 is the average cost for the boys and girls, but they're saying our $12,000 support, or the $10,000 that we were given,
Right.
the proposed 12,000 would bring the cost down to $600 per child.
Okay, he said good with it, no problem.
So you gonna leave that one
Yeah,
alone?
he said good with it.
Okay.
So we're going to leave it alone or remove it, Mr. Chairman?
He's saying they're good with it.
I'm good with that.
He said good with
Okay.
12. He had a question.
I agree.
I thought it was 10 students. I didn't know that it was 20 going over there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement, Mr. Carter, you can move on.
All right, so any other agencies that you guys want to talk about before we move on?
Any other agency? Board members? All right, I don't hear them. Move
Okay.
on, Mr. Carter.
All right, let's see, Recreation Department, increase of $7,400. That's an increase for health insurance. Once again, somebody switched plans. I'm on page 12 of 14, by the way, I'm
Right,
sorry.
okay, I got you.
On page number 34, the library, $301,049. And there's an increase of $7,265 that Mr. Ewan talked to you about last year, that he would need additional funding for his employees to meet minimum wage. Last year, because it was done on January 1, we only funded half of it, so this is the remainder of that fund, that request. Planning and zoning, there's an increase there due to the increase for the cost of the planning commissioners. The Finance Committee made a recommendation that we increase the planning commissioners' members' pay and do it on a fixed cost instead of per meeting.
And I think that's much needed, Mr. Chairman. Those planning commissioners are now meeting twice a month, and they get paid very little money. And they're doing a good job.
They've had a lot more meetings with the solar farm.
Most of them are doing a good job.
All right, Commonwealth Regional Council, level funding, Extension Office, that was the one that, she came before you guys as well. I think her increase was an additional 15,000, Kevin, is that right? I only put in here 10. And the reason she talked to you guys at that board meeting is that she said they had done a salary study and they had proposed salary increases. Well, I was on an opinion that, you guys didn't authorize that salary study, and so we don't know what those numbers were. So it's hard to give everybody a salary increase because they went out and got a salary study, but we don't know what the merits of that salary study was. We don't know what they based it on, or years of service, or performance, or anything.
Right.
So,
I think that's
You
fair.
need to leave it alone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
so I put in 10, but feel free to adjust it how you guys want to do it. I mean, because I know they're gonna get some kind of pay increase like everybody else, but I don't know if they need the whole 15.
Don't the state get them an increase too? Did they?
The state is giving them an increase, but most of that money is paying from you guys, from the local, from the county.
What's the board pleasure? How y'all want to do
I
it?
say leave it in there, Mr. Chairman. That's
Leave it
just
in?
me.
Okay.
All right, and there's our fixed, next thing, page 38, the bottom page, our fixed charges. If you go over to page 13, there is that proposed salary increase, Mr. Miles, you talked about, so that's where we have the salary increase.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So we put that in that line because it's easier to change that line instead of putting everybody's budget, and you guys say you want to change it, than to go through and change every department at one time. So it's easier just to take it from that line. Your unassigned fund balance, so that's $7 million. Our policy says that we keep 10% of our budget, so we're still right on that. We got a $70 million budget. We got $7 million left from reserve, so we're still on track with that. Your commitments to fund balance, these are things that you're gonna pay out of your fund balance. So you got the courthouse general properties project. That's been partially paid in this current fiscal year, hopefully. We got fire rescue training of $20,000. We got Gene Dixon Park of $1.5 million. There's your reserve contingency of $192,000. Economic development money that you got from land sales, $776,000, and an animal control facility, $1.3 million. Once again, I know we're trying to cut pennies and get things as far as down as we need to. Other than item number 2, all those come out of your reserves or in your balance. That fire rescue training, we put in there, it's $20,000. That's something that you can take out if you want and, you know, have it set up as needed. So if somebody needs some training from EMS or fire departments, they can come and ask you for it instead of putting it in the budget. So if you guys want to take that out, that would be fine with me.
Don't we also have some funding in the EMS Cody's department for some training too?
We do, yes, sir.
We could utilize that also, right?
Yes, sir. But we put this here because when we had the volunteers, it was for EMS and fire. So we kind of split the difference. So that 20,000, 10 was for EMS and 10,000 was for fire departments.
I think we should take it out. I mean, that's a little bit of money we could save, you know.
And do it as needed. And if somebody needs training, they can come to you guys. Okay.
That's right.
Comprehensive services, that's the one that, you know, anybody that serves on that board, I think Mr. Gillum serves on it now, that's one of those expensive things, a mandatory service that we gotta provide for the children. And as Mr. Gillum, I'm sure can tell you, it's not cheap. Most of that stuff is all mandated, and a lot of those kids need those services. I increased the local amount to $320,000, which is a small increase of $2,000. And for each amount of dollars local money we contribute, the state gives more money. So by us having that small increase, we should get more state money from that increase.
Definitely one of the sadder committees that you can be on. You see it, very sad.
And unfortunately, almost all those cases are mandatory. They're not optional, so you have to pay it. Emergency services, once again, there's your decrease of $147,000, and that's with that Dominion grant fully funded. We're paying that on our own, so there is no reserve for contingency amount. And as I mentioned, the revenue side, the difference is $819,000 what I got the county transferring to make that fund balance. So that's the biggest part of your tax increase. If we didn't have that, you'd be in pretty good shape. So, but once again, that was something that was planned, and we knew it was coming. Debt service, there's that decrease again of $169,000. $3 million of that is local, and $474 is from the state and federal money we get for subsidies. Then there you have your water and sewer funds, and the idea again, which as I mentioned earlier, is that $15,098 times 12, which is the payment for the new sewer plant. That's all I have. I'll be glad to go back and answer any questions, make any adjustments you guys want to make that you're thinking about making. And I'll just say again, I told you something, this is just to advertise, so we're not officially doing anything other than putting something in the paper to advertise tonight.
I guess we need a motion then to make the changes, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Also move, Mr. Chairman, with the changes are made to the proposed operating budget.
Piedmont Veterans Council, we added to that.
Right, 5,000.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second that we would, add the items to the, budget that we discussed, that the, Piedmont veterans and what else? Oh, a couple things.
It was
Piedmont
It was
veterans.
3 things, I thought.
Yeah.
We included 25 and 26.
We reduced John down.
Left Boys and Girls Club alone, we excluded 25 and 26 as the
20,000
new
for
request.
fire training.
Yep, and took out the
And then-
20,000 for fire training.
We took that out completely?
Mm-hmm. We can do it as a as needed basis, so
'Cause
when
we
somebody
have
wants to
some in
train.
the
Set it
EMS
to the
We have
side.
some in the EMS budget for training too.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor.
And before you vote, Mr. Chairman, did you want to discuss the school's requests?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, just so, and Mr. Carter, just so we're all on the same page, most likely, once the Senate and the House get together, the budget will improve, most likely, because it does every year. Is that your estimation, Dr. Keeler?
I hope so.
Okay. Sure.
What you say, wait? Sometimes you want to wait on it.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just from my math, that's 4 pennies. Is that right, Mr.
Yes,
Carter?
sir. 150,000 per penny, so you're looking at roughly four. So that's talking about $600,000. So you can make your motion now to vote on the budget, but then we need a separate motion on advertising for the tax rate.
Okay, so what, do you have a recommendation, Mr. Carter?
Well, I put in, this budget before you is 3 cents.
Right. And then another 4.
Another
if-
4 would be
if we
7.
go that
If
direction.
we go that route. Now,
We could pull money out of reserves,
you can pull money out of reserves if you.
7 million in there,
right?
ain't it? About 7 million in reserve?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, also, I haven't added my sheets up yet, but your reserve contingency is 192,000. So that's a penny right there. So if you want to take that down to the bare minimum, you could get rid of a penny out of that.
7 million is in the reserves?
Yes, but I mean, your reserve contingency and your budget sheet is 192,000. So if you got rid of a penny of that, that could take that down some as well.
So if we took perhaps 623,000 for the schools and out of our reserves and then went up 3 cents to fund the EMS, perhaps,
You could do that, yes.
because
But,
otherwise it'd be 7 cents increase.
Right, now,
So maybe we
Basically,
take
all
some
you're
out
doing
of,
is robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, in next year, I mean, you take your money out of your savings account to do it.
I'm
Plus,
just
uh,
offering
Paul
some
says
options.
Next year, we're probably looking at another
right.
2 to 3%.
Because remember that 800,000 is for EMS, so 3 cents is gonna get you through now, but you can probably need some next year as well.
So in other words, Mr. Chairman, so in other words, Mr. Carter, 7 cents would balance that advertised budget, if we include the $623,000 from the schools. Is that right?
All I ask is gonna be run out of dollars.
I'm,
I
no,
can tell you that.
no, I'm asking a question. I'm not making a statement.
Okay.
I'm asking a question.
I thought you said raising 3 cents. Now, where you get that?
Well, I think really what should happen is we should go back and ask our department heads that deal with the county here and see if there's any way that they can adjust their budget, go back through their budgets to see if there's anything any money they can save. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions, and, you know, we're putting a pretty big burden on the taxpayers. That's the people who's gonna be voting for you come November. Well, not you necessarily, but some of the other people on this board. And, you know, we did a great thing here about 3 years ago when we reduced the tax rate during a pandemic, which I don't know of any other locality in the state of Virginia that did that. And, you know, I think those people appreciated that, but, you know, we're still not out of the woods. You know, there's a lot of people still are not
Yeah.
working and don't have a job. So, I think there's other ways for us to approach this thing. And I'm gonna go ahead and step out there and ask for the help of the school division. I mean, you know,
So you're saying that-
we're almost $700,000 additional funding over what you asked for last year, okay? I want you to get everything you need, but there's sometimes that we have to make decisions here at the Board of Supervisors, and me in my personal life. There are things that I may not can have right now, so, you know, we need to save some money this year, whatever way we need to do it. And I want the teachers to get their raises. That's priority to me and the staff. But some of the other stuff that we can control a little bit better, as far as like buses. You know, we've had buses in our budget for at least 12 years since I mean, that's before I was on the board. That's something I really believe should be in the school budget. If you want to ask for that money, that's fine. And we're probably going to give it to you. But I don't want to have I don't want that to affect our budget every year at the end of the day. So I think that's something we need to look at, Carl, moving forward. Our departments we need to be more conservative in-house, but I'm also asking for the school division's help in this matter too. And I'm going to give you my promise. I want the staff to get what's coming to them, and you're doing the right thing with your insurance. You're saving money. You're trying to help the county, but there are other areas we need help. We need help also, and we've stepped up to the plate for you guys in years past, and I'd like for you to help us out in this matter. And I'm speaking for Don Matthews here. I'm not speaking for the rest of this board, but you know, this is a taxpayer issue. You know, they're the people that pay the bills. Don Matthews and these other 6 guys don't pay the bills. I mean, we do because we're taxpayers, but, you know, the majority of us, the majority of that money is paid by taxpayers. So, anyway, I appreciate your help in that matter. So.
Well, I think the board, you know, we got to do something. They need a working agenda to go by, you know. I see what you're saying. You said you try to take some fat at the budget, but sometimes you can't take out too much fat. Buckingham probably got the cheapest tax rate any county around.
Mm-hmm.
No county I know paying 52 cents.
By double digits.
You know, that's what I'm saying. I think Charlottesville close around $1. I hear people complaining about it, but you're gonna have to raise the taxes some. You know, you just can't stay at 52 cents. And like you said, we cut it back in 2020, but I don't know whether it was a mistake or not. We did the right thing, but
Yeah.
you're gonna have to raise it. You know, I can go 3 cents, but I don't know what to raise. I think Mr. Davis here raising 7 cents during the election year is not a wise thing to do. Nobody want to pay more taxes.
I know I get a Democrat run against me then,
Nah, you ain't gonna do it. No, I don't think so.
If Chair,
I think.
We want to fund our school system. We want to, don't want them to have to suffer, you know.
So, y'all know it's near and dear to me, and it's a thing, these aircraft tax, it needs to be raised. That's another one. I don't know, we ain't got one airplane in the county, but it's crazy when to own a vehicle in Buckingham County, personal property is $4.05. And I can own an airplane for 55 cents.
I concur with him on that. I definitely agree to that.
I think we double it. With mechanics tools, machinery, $2.90, 55 cents to own an airplane.
that'd be $1.10, just so anybody's asking.
For the airplane for a tax.
If you want to double it.
I don't got no problem. But don't get in the plane with a marking lot, crash that thing. Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So just as, and I know I stated this earlier, but as a compromise, Supervisor Matthews, could we perhaps pull the $623,000 or some odd dollars for the schools out of our reserve for contingency and only go 3 cents to help offset the cost of the EMS department as a compromise?
That's what I was saying. Take it out, we got $7 million in there, you say.
How would the board feel about that, instead of threading the needle to 7 cents with this a huge sticker shock? I understand that.
Yeah, but my concern is what are we gonna do when it comes around next year? Carl's already talking about that we gotta go up next year. We're gonna rob the fund next year.
I agree with that.
Because
It's-
you know,
it's-
all we're
it's-
doing is
it's-
pushing it.
it's
all we're doing is
unsustainable.
Pushing the can down the road.
Down the road, ain't it?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is, the school division knows that they're gonna get some type of end-of-year money at the end of the year based on their daily attendance. They don't know what that figure is, and I understand, but, you know, you should have a pretty good idea for that. And all I'm asking is, you know, for the taxpayers, you know, we need your help to use that. I know you like to use that on capital projects, and we've helped you do that in the past, and I want to continue to help you to do that. But sometimes you gotta do you gotta prioritize your budget. So, are those capital projects important? Yes, they are. But, are these school buses important? Yes, they are. I feel like they're more important. So in my opinion, that's what you should use your end-of-year money for, to some extent. So,
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Can we, to get our budget done, to get the school board thing, can we appropriate this 623,000 and put it in a contingency fund that we, until they get the numbers from the state, that's saying what the state is gonna give them? That way they got a budget to work off of, and we got numbers to go off of, and then
I don't have a problem doing that, Judge.
Where's the money gonna come
I'm
from?
a man of my word.
That's what I
and
wanted.
I wanna help them any way I can, but, you know, we're in a tight spot right now throughout the county, and including the Board of Supervisors.
yes,
We have to look out for 17,000 individuals that pay taxes in this county. So, I wanna do what's fair for everybody. I'm not trying to be hard to get along with the school board or the school division. I want what's right for all the folks in this county.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd agree with that, but I would ask where the money's gonna come from to put that in the contingency.
Well, we got,
Reserves?
like Mr.
reserve to, until they get final numbers from the Senate and the House, if they get
I
their
could live
crap
with that.
together,
I could-
and we
Is
hold
it
this
also
money-
something that we could do, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Is it also something we could do while Carl is in the process? We asked him to go back and get the department heads to see if we could save any money with the Board of Supervisors. Is it,
Right.
we could go back and ask the school board if they could relook at it to see if they could come help us on cut anything they could possible while Carl does it with us to see if we could save anything once we do that.
I agree with that.
That's a good idea.
Great idea.
You said 17,000, but say you got 2,000, you gotta worry about that in the prison, they ain't paying no taxes.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, I'm serious, you know.
15,000.
So if we could both go back and work on it to see if we, and then give them the money they need and put it in the, in a contingency and go, let everybody go back and sharpen the pencils and see what we can do and see how much we can save.
If it ain't but 1% would make a great deal in this
Oh, my
budget.
Lord.
That's right. If every department cut 1%, you know, somehow, some way.
And I'm all, the employees need to get their raises, because everybody
Absolutely.
wants a raise.
100%.
And to be honest with you, without the teachers, you don't have anything, without
Right.
the faculty and the teachers. So I believe that they need to get it. But we got a tremendous amount of departments on the Board of Supervisors. I assume a school board has a tremendous amount of departments. If we went back through that and say, hey, where can we save a few bucks at?
2010.
And see what we
I mean,
can do.
2020.
Because we're in a bind. All of us are in a
55,
bind,
52.
you know?
No, you weren't.
I just like to see the board work with the school board, you know,
Absolutely.
they're doing a great job, and we don't wanna cut the funds where they can't operate. That's all I wanna say. It's tight, you know, times tight, we realize that they're getting tighter, but still, you know, the schools, we gotta fund the schools enough to operate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, getting back to the tax increase.
Mr. Chairman, what I would propose, sir, is that we advertise the 55-cent real estate tax increase in the Public Service Corporation, and then the $1.10 aircraft, that's an increase in terms of the tax rate, and then put in a reserve for contingency, the $623,000 and some odd dollars, and pull that from our reserves.
All right, that's a motion by Supervisor Miles. What you say? You get a second?
Can I, before we take it to a motion, can I make it clear, can I understand it to make sure? So basically what we're doing is we're going for 3% tax increase.
3 cents.
3-cent tax increase, and then we're robbing $670 some thousand dollars from the
Reserves.
fund, and that's gone, right? Well, it's gone because
It is.
whatever they
You're right.
get is gone.
You're
So
right.
whatever portion of it they use is gone.
Unless anyone has an alternative.
So it will be gone. It'll be just like using what you got in your savings account, whatever portion the school board uses. And it's not just the school board. We put that in it. It could have been on our budget. But whatever we put out there, we're taking out of the savings account of it. Not only are we doing a tax increase, but we're taking the money out of the savings account too.
Yes, sir.
So what is,
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
that's
Supervisor
what,
Gillum, you're right.
that's what he's saying. What you suggest, Supervisor,
I don't know
Gillen?
what I'm suggesting. I just want to make sure what we were getting ready to say, because what I'm worried about is, Mr. Carter said that he already knows it's going to be again next year. So when we go in front of the taxpayers, we went up 3% this year. We robbed $700,000 from the slush fund, what I call it, and then we got to turn around and ask for a tax increase next year. I wonder if Mr. Carter thinks that we could take some out of the slush fund and do for the school.
Hey, George.
And do
cut
a
that thing
more of a
down.
tax increase this year and not do anything next year. Because I mean, when we go to the taxpayers and we tell them that we're raising the taxes 2 years in a row, they're not gonna think how many pennies it is. They're gonna look at, hey, the boys raised it on us last year and now they're raising it again on us this year.
Well, I suggest you get a bulletproof vest and you're gonna tell them.
Yes.
We word
I have
that
to think
in.
about that. I can't.
How much is the, of the $623,000 additional money, how much of that is the raise for the teachers?
The raise costs $9. All of the raise and then some. And we asked for the insurance.
So,
So what Mr. Gillum is saying, I think is a good discussion point. I mean, if we do 3, I guess it needs to be made sure, or pretty clear that next year it's gonna be some more too.
Absolutely.
I think what he's saying
Could
though,
be.
is it better to take all your medicine at one time or spread it over 2
Okay.
years?
next year you'll be over there.
You don't know what's gonna change between now and next year. Might go up a whole lot, might not.
But
Might
one
go
thing
down.
about what he's saying, he didn't want to raise taxes during the election yet. Next year, the election be over, so everybody win to be here for 4 more years before you get kicked that, so. Something to look at too.
To me, you take your $600,000 and say it's okay if they need it.
It's okay if they need it.
If they need it, but they don't need it until after June, we find out how much they got.
That's part of my
And they
motion.
might get more than 600,000 extra,
From the
and
state,
then we
yeah.
don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's the intent of my
To me,
motion.
it's there if they have to have it.
Right.
If
That's
they
what I
don't
said.
have to have it,
That's-
That's what I said
Okay.
that's what I said from the beginning.
we won't find out until after June.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask
Right.
Mr.
Yes,
Carter
sir,
a
go
question.
ahead.
If we go back to the 55 cents, we're putting the real estate level at it was before the pandemic in 2020, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So all we're doing is returning the tax rate back to pre-pandemic levels.
That's exactly right.
yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, to play devil's advocate with my dear friend Supervisor Gillum, I would say, and in all seriousness, I would say that there is a reason why we've been putting all that money away, and it's grown to amass $7 million for a rainy day. And
Definitely raining.
it is.
It's definitely raining.
Yes, sir.
And
No,
it's
they
raining
rain-
as you're going out, Mr. Miles. It's
No,
still
they,
staying in.
no, they raining is flooding. There's a difference in raining than flooding. Raining in the also,
Oh, all good fun.
you can get by with a rain, but the flood, but you gotta watch it.
So that is,
So I'll make this point too as well. So you can advertise, I don't know, you can advertise 57, and then at the public hearing, you can take it down.
Right.
But whatever you do tonight, I wouldn't try to do it low and then try to increase it because you can't go up. So you got to make it higher and bring it down.
You can go down, but you can't go up,
Right.
that's right. I can remember that before. We got
So if you guys want to have time to think about it some more, you can say, I don't know, 57, and then you can bring it back down to 55, but you can't go the other way. You can't say 55 tonight and then at the public hearing say 57.
Boys better think hard if you got competition, I'm telling you.
Well, everybody will probably have competition for it over.
Mr. Chairman, anybody second my motion? Just out of curiosity. Not yet, okay.
Ain't nobody second, you ain't made it yet, cause you ain't hit that button yourself.
Oh, I hit it, Mr. Chairman, but I didn't, it's not, oh, okay.
What, you call me a liar?
No, sir.
All right, then.
I hit it, but nothing happened.
so
Well, you haven't made a motion.
let me get this George's motion straight. You're motioning that we return to 55 cents, pre-pandemic levels.
Yes, sir.
and we put the 623,000, we put that in a reserve fund for the school
Yes, sir.
if they need it. If it come in June, they don't need it, we put the money back into.
That's exactly right. So the intent of my motion, Mr. Chairman, would be, once the state and the House and the Senate make their final decision, whether it's less, and I think it will be, I think the schools, I would hope and pray that the schools would need less money than that. That then, and only then, after the budget is set by the legislature and signed by the governor, that's when that money would come out of that contingency. That's to come from our reserves.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, what about this, 57 cent, well, yeah?
I'm sticking to 55 right now, Mr. Chairman,
Okay, all right, I just want to clear. Okay,
if that's the will of the board.
this was made, the motion, are you ready to, sister, we ready to vote?
And you did say something about the,
Roll call vote or hands. or
Okay,
whatever.
it was motion by Supervisor Miles, second by Supervisor Davis, that we'll raise it to 55 cent, right?
3-cent raise.
What about my jet airplane?
110.
110 for the airplane, and, you could text Morgan and tell him that, and, then we,
Well, I can tell Jordan is he better pack his own sheet.
but to keep it $600-some thousand in reserve if you need it.
Yes.
Then if it don't need the funds, it'll come back to the treasurer.
Yep.
All right, everybody clear on that? Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. Speak now, forever hold your.
Raise half a hand?
Everybody against?
Yeah.
Make sure you get my name down.
6-1.
Don Matthews.
6-1, okay, so the motion carries 6-1.
Mr. Chairman, do we need any other motions as to
Yes,
the
sir,
tax
on the
rate?
tax rate and everything. You just got the airplane, you didn't get the rest of it.
Oh, I read them all, Mr. Chairman.
Read it all? I'm sorry, I beg your
So
pardon.
you do need one more for the advertisement of the actual budget. You just did the tax rates just now, so I guess make your motion to, advertise the changes that were proposed tonight.
We need a motion to advertise the changes that were made tonight, to advertise our budget.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion by Supervisor Brandt, second by Supervisor,
Miles.
Miles, that we will advertise this episode. All in favor of the motion? Hand raised.
Change the advertising.
Who wants to tell him?
Advertise it. Those opposed? You're not gonna advertise it? Okay, all right.
I'm just messing.
All right. Anything else need to come before the board?
Yes, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
to executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we enter into executive closed session for the following purpose: discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. That's the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711.A.3, Mr. Chairman.
Can I get a motion? Can I get a second?
I second.
Motion and second, and we will go into executive session on the code that was stated by Supervisor Miles. All in favor? Go into executive session, those opposed? Well,
I voted yes this time.
for the yes on Yes, sir.
Miles?
I would offer a motion that we return to regular session and certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only business matters related to the code of which the executive meeting was convened was discussed, heard, or considered in the closed session, Mr. The closed executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and second that, motion by Supervisor Miles, second by Supervisor Allen. The only thing we would discuss was identified in the motion. We identified went in there. It's executive session. All in favor? Hand raised.
All right.
All right. Anything else need to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would offer a motion that we send a proposal regarding the industrial park for study and a recommendation along with an analysis to the Economic Development Committee.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Miles, second by Supervisor Matthews, that we'll send this on to the Economic Development Committee for the study of this. We report back to the board, right? All in favor? Anything else need to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would offer a motion that we enter into executive closed session with regarding to section 2.2-37A.7 of the Code of Virginia regarding consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litiging posture of the public body in consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, sir.
Second. Motion by Supervisor Miles, second by Supervisor Allen, that we go into executive session under the code. All in favor?
concur that we return to regular session and certify that to the best member of each board member's knowledge, only business matters related to the code of which the executive meeting was convened was discussed or considered in the closed executive session. So
Second.
moved.
Motion by Supervisor Miles, second by Supervisor Allen, that nothing was discussed, but we went in the executive session to discuss. Okay? All in favor? All right, nothing else coming for the board?
Sir, just a reminder, your April meeting is the third Monday, so it'll be April 17th.
April 17th.
We don't have no more work sessions.
No more work session, all right? Adjourning, right?